Before or after you watch this video, check out the links in the description below for other goodies and updates. Also, click on the bell right next to the subscribe button to get notifications on my new videos. So here we are with my 5th year anniversary Pokepasta, and this time, why not do an obscure one? While this story does seem a bit cliche and silly at times, it has an interesting spin on the whole Missingno concept. I like how the pasta is originally set up with the main character bringing his game to school, along with his friends playing theirs as well, and how his Charizard, ChaCha, becomes a glitchy mess. The pasta itself also ends on a cheesy yet sweet note that seems appropriate for this year's Pokepasta-rine. It's amazing that I've been doing this for over 5 years, and hopefully, here's to 5 more. The following story is completely true. This experience forever changed my way of viewing inanimate objects. I was just your average 10-year-old when I first got my copy of Pokemon Red, and like any other kid at the time, Pokemon was the bomb, the best thing out there. As surprising as it was, everyone in my class had the game. We all took our Gameboys to school and would play the game together at recess, helping each other out if we ever had trouble, trading high-level Pokemon in order to clear the gyms, or just guide each other through the game. They were wonderful times, and I made memories that I will cherish forever. One day a friend of mine got the game, and my group decided to help him out by laying him our most powerful Pokemon, so he could quickly clear the game, and catch any Pokemon he wanted. And so I said goodbye to my first Pokemon, ChaCha. yeah, laugh it up. I know you're snickering, and I know you're guessing who it was. My first Pokemon was a Charmander, who I named ChaCha. I was a kid, and I loved my Pokemon, so I gave him a cute personal name. I never thought about giving him like a cool name like Raptor or Rex, which are names my friends used. He was level 84 when I gave him away, one fierce looking Charizard. I spent a lot of time into training and raising that Pokemon. I used him in every gym, and he was always in my party. The first and only Pokemon I used when a battle began, because I wanted him to level up and get stronger and stronger. It almost never lost a battle, except to Gary's Blastoise, but not without him giving a good side of damage. I really felt a lot of love towards ChaCha. It was my first Pokemon. Not to mention that I had a good imagination. I would imagine our adventure as if I was really there. I can't express how excited and in awe I was when I first played Pokemon Stadium with the game pack. It felt like ChaCha had really come to life. I am all grown up and everything, but seriously, when I think back at this memory, it still makes me feel sad and angry. No, my friend didn't keep ChaCha and not give it back. It wasn't like that at all. We all hate bullies, don't we? Because that's exactly what happened. A bully took away my friend's Game Boy, and he would not give it back. All our favorite and toughest Pokemon were in his game, so we weren't about just to sit down with our arms crossed. We chased the bully all over school until we reached the 3rd story of the building. And yeah, just like you're probably thinking, the freaking butthole decided that since he couldn't have the game, then no one could. He threw the Game Boy into the courtyard, and the rest is history. His Game Boy broke to pieces, but somehow the game had survived, and so it got corrupted. When a friend pulled out his Game Boy and put the game on, the whole thing was glitchy and was unreadable, but it would still work. The sadness we felt couldn't be put into words. We cried. It was only a game, the teacher said, and we shouldn't have brought it to school in the first place, but they didn't know the love we put into the game. They didn't know the relationship we felt towards a Pokemon. All our talk about feelings to them was dumb. The bully was suspended, and the parents of the bully repaid my friend's parents for the broken Game Boy. Sadly, our Pokemon was gone. Or so we thought. One day, I thought about how we could still save a Pokemon. The game was corrupted and glitchy, but the music would still play, and the saved game was still there. So what stopped us from training back our beloved Pokemon? We hooked up our Game Boys via cable link and started testing to see if our Pokemon was still there. And through glitchy sounds and continuous attempts, we managed to make out which Pokemon belonged to who, and so the testing began. We all captured wild weak Pokemon on our separate games, and set up our Pokemon on the glitchy game in order, so we knew which Pokemon belonged to who. The first trade went through, and it was a half success. My friend got his Gengar back, but half the sprite was distorted, but its moves and everything were there. The second one was a complete failure. My friend's TARDIS was just completely scrambled. Its head was in one spot, while the body pieces were scrambled in random places. The third one was a huge success, which really got my hopes up. My friend's Kangaskhan was A-OK, except for its cry. If you're curious about how it sounded, then go check its cry, and think of it sounding lower and sort of broken. And finally, it was ChaCha's turn. I crossed my fingers and let the transfer begin. Everything seemed fine when it crossed by. The animal sprite looked perfect. But when ChaCha appeared on my screen, my heart dropped. The sprite had somehow distorted so bad that it looked as if ChaCha's left arm was half gone. There was a hole in its body, its wings were half split, and half its tail was gone, as if someone took a brush and painted parts of it off. When it roared, it sounded so high and broken that I felt as if it was crying in pain. I can't begin to explain how sad it was. My ChaCha looked like it was broken in pieces and held a life only by its will. After that, my friends and I tried making things seem normal again, pretending as if nothing happened. But every time I heard ChaCha's cry, it really hurt me on the inside. It sounded like it was in pain. Every battle, the same cry would come out, and regardless of how victorious we were, hearing its cry began taking a toll on me. It felt like my Pokemon was dying or dead, but it only kept itself alive for my sake. It didn't seem fair to ChaCha. He deserved better than that. I remember that there was a graveyard in Lavender Town, and after a lot of thought, I decided that I would release ChaCha, to make believe it died. Back then I really thought that it deserved some peace. So I went to Lavender Town, got to the Pokemon Center, placed ChaCha on Bill's computer, and hit the release button. It wasn't all that fast though. I actually cried, and it took me like 20 minutes to hit the release button, but when I finally did, I could have sworn that ChaCha's cry returned back to normal, as if saying thank you. Even the sprite looked like it was back to normal. Goodbye, I heard. That was the end of that. I didn't play my game again because it made me remember my incident with ChaCha over and over. I regretted ever letting go of my friend like that. It wasn't until like 2 months later I picked up the game again, when a friend introduced me to a way to make hundreds of rare candy and master balls. Yep, the very famous old man trick. It was simple enough. Talk to the old man in Viridian City, have him teach you how to catch Pokemon, place the item you want to make more of on slot number 6, fly to Sandbar Island, use Surf, and go up and down the edge of the island until a round battle starts. You can choose to fight and beat the Pokemon that appears, or just plainly quit. Whatever the choice, once the battle is over, you have a ton of items you can sell for money and buy whatever items you want. But nothing prepared me for what happened that stormy night. No, I'm not being dramatic. It was seriously raining and thundering outside. I lived in Mexico City at the time. If none of you know, it's an elevated zone, which makes it more humid and makes it so that there is more frequent rain. Anyway, I got back from school that Friday and went for an afternoon nap. By the time I woke up, it was already dark out. My mom was in the living room, watching a movie with my dad. The whole house was dark, except for the outside, which was raining and slightly thundering. I decided I might as well try out what my friend had told me about the cheat. I took out a piece of paper that had the instructions and started the process. By the time I got to Sandbar Island, I called up my gold duck, Ducky, and had it use Surf. We started going up and down the shoreline, when suddenly the ram bow went off. And exactly at the same time, it thundered loudly outside. I even heard the window shake. Out of the corner of the screen, it appeared, the shape of the ghost that was on the Lavender Town Tower. When that happened, I literally felt my mind go blank. I let out the loudest scream I could, turned off the game, and ran to my parents. For the next 2 days, I had nightmares and I would not touch the game. Why the heck did a ghost appear? Wasn't the ghost just the Cubone's mother? Why the heck did that appear in there? I couldn't sleep. I had the Silph Co, so it made no sense for it to appear. It wasn't until Monday came that I asked my friend about it, and he was puzzled. He hadn't fought the ghost, but instead a random box shape. Once recess came along, he took out his Gameboy and showed me, with me still cowering from my experience. But sure enough, out of the corner of his screen, a random box shape came out. He had his Gengar use Nightshade and killed it with one blow. After that, he went to his item box, and as he told me, he had X amount of the item. Due to the experience with the bully, my mom had prohibited me from taking my game to school, and so I left it at home. By the time I got home, I took my game and decided to try one more time. I laid down in bed, took out my Game Boy, and turned it on. I redid everything I had done the previous night, and thus the same thing happened again. I felt my heart stop when the ghost appeared again. I wanted to turn the game off, but couldn't. Didn't want to. What if that was ChaCha's ghost? My friend had got a weird looking box, but I got a ghost? Its name remained as Missingno, however. Level 84, and its health bar was off the screen. I was positive. That must have been ChaCha trying to come back to me. It was the same level after all. Instead of just running away, I had Golduck attack the ghost with Surf. It didn't do much damage. The ghost then counterattacked me with Flamethrower, and that half surprised me. The moves that ChaCha knew were Flamethrower, Fly, Fire Blast, and Swords Dance. It was just too much of a coincidence that the ghost had just appeared to know Flamethrower, so I decided I would catch it. I didn't think about it. I just went to the item box and threw my Master Ball at it. I couldn't let it get away. I named it ChaCha, and it joined my party. It didn't have a description or info, so I just skipped it. I saved my game, glad that I had ChaCha back, and turned it off. I set my Game Boy next to my pillow and laid down. There was nothing for me to be afraid of anymore. It was only my friend coming back to me. Right? I closed my eyes and drifted off. Hours must have passed, because when I woke up, it was dark again. I reached for my Game Boy and decided to play some more, to spend some time with ChaCha. I turned on my game and continued for my last save. I pressed start and opened the Pokemon box to see that ChaCha had taken the shape of a ghost sprite. A sudden thought went off in my head. Why did the Silph Co not work? It was supposed to help me look past the ghost. I went through my items to see that it wasn't there. And that's when I remembered that I had it stored on the computer, because I had way too many items already. I headed for the Pokemon Center and retrieved the Silph Co from my computer. When that was done, I opened up the Pokemon box to see that the ghost was no longer there. It was replaced by a picture of an animal sprite, and that, ladies and gentlemen, scared me. Not thinking about it anymore, I clicked on the summary for the new ChaCha and didn't see the image of ChaCha, my Charizard, but instead, it was a patch of flowers. With fear increasing bit by bit, I decided it was time to save and turn off the game. I did not want to mess with the game anymore. But when I turned off the game, the screen didn't go blank. Instead, I saw that the menu box opened. Puzzled, I tried turning off the game again, but this time the selector made its way to the Pokemon box. My voice died in my throat. What the heck was going on? The box opened, and I saw that ChaCha's sprite had changed once again. This time, the animal sprite was not moving cheerfully as it had been before. It had full health. However, it was not moving. It was just staying there, as if staring at me. The selector made its way to ChaCha's sprite. It opened the options and saw that it now knew the ability Fly. It selected it, and without me doing anything, my sprite jumped into the now deformed collection of sprites and headed off into the unknown location. We were now in front of the tower in Lavender Town, and I don't know how to explain anymore. The cryptic familiar music began playing. The screen froze, along with the music, and then went black. I was beginning to get freaked out by what was happening, so I frantically began to toggle the off-on switch up and down multiple times, but nothing would happen. The screen came back on, and the intro would play like always. I selected my save game and started. However, I wasn't where I last saved. I was on the final room of the Lavender Town Tower. I tried going downstairs, but there was something blocking the way. I tried using an escape rope, but my items were gone. The intense fear I felt at the time had left me frozen, stuck looking at the screen, helpless. It may seem dumb to some of you. You may be thinking, that's stupid, you could have just gotten up and walked away, or you could have just taken off the game from the Game Boy. But you don't realize that when you're in fear, you don't think straight. You're just a mess of fear and have no clue on what you're supposed to do. Take in mind as well that I was only 10 at the time. I couldn't do anything, so I began walking around the room. I checked my Pokemon box and saw that I had no Pokemon at all. I was alone. There was a sprite of the old Team Rocket member that was there before, but when I talked to him, the text was all glitchy. I could only make out that it said, "Get on Num," or "Get out now." I think it was at that point that I think my eyes began watering. What the heck was going on? Why was I at the top of the tower? What happened to ChaCha? After saying that, the screen flashed, and the rocket sprite was gone. I was alone once again. I made my way further into the room, and saw it there, the animal sprite staring at me. Was that ChaCha? I approached the sprite. Why was this happening? Did ChaCha hate me because I abandoned him? When I was standing in front of him, I pressed A to talk to him, but instead of a box of text opening, a screech began coming out of my Game Boy. At that moment, I couldn't put the sound to words, but now that I'm older, I know it sounded like the mosquito ringtone. I instantly covered my ears. The sound was so loud and sharp that it made me wince. The screen faded to black, and deformed unreadable letters began forming on the screen. The animal sprite came back into the screen. It seemed like it was hovering, slightly moving, when suddenly I heard a familiar cry. I felt my heart stop. Was that ChaCha? The screen flashed a couple of times, and the random battle music began playing. Out of the corner of the screen came out a thing. I can only address it as a monstrosity. It seemed like a pile of stack with bones sticking out of it. Where those sprites came from, I don't know. But I felt a cord in my throat when I saw that. A combination of Kabutops and Aerodactyl sprites, except in bone form. Along with the eyes of the ghost glowing a dark purplish black. Missingno, level 84. It made things all the more scary because the background wasn't right. It was a dark void. I didn't know if it was my imagination or not, but the air around me felt colder. But then my player sprite reached for a Pokeball and threw it. And now came the last thing I ever expected to see in the game. It was the spray of my Charizard, ChaCha. It let out its cry, and the battle screen came up. Nothing made sense at that point, but I knew what I had to do. I wiped away my tears and decided to fight alongside ChaCha. They were the same level, however the ghost's health bar was twice as long as ChaCha's. It didn't matter, I would not lose with ChaCha with me. I clicked on battle and decided to start things out with flamethrower. It hit, but only took off close to a quarter of the health away. The ghost then used water gun and nearly took out half of ChaCha's health away. With wide eyes, I realized the trouble I was in. If it knew any other water type moves, I would be in trouble. With that in mind, I used the other move that I knew would help me, Sword Stance. If I increased my power enough, I would be able to finish him off in one hit. Fall became cloaked in a harsh light. Oh no, I had to get ChaCha out of there. Before Missingno had a chance to do anything, I commanded ChaCha to use Fly, avoiding the deadly attack. And when it came crashing down, it took a good chunk of the ghost's HP. I would finish things with the next move. I used Fire Blast. But before I had a chance, Ghost himself used Fly and went upwards, avoiding ChaCha's strongest attack. Knowing that ChaCha was a flying type as well, I knew it would be best to have him receive the attack head on, while charging power once again for our final attack. I ordered for another sword stance, which further increased ChaCha's strength. But then the monster came crashing down. I had not expected for the hit to be critical. I watched in horror as ChaCha's HP dropped and dropped. I closed my eyes. I had messed up again. I failed my friend. ChaCha, I whispered sadly. I opened my eyes to face reality, and couldn't believe my eyes. It had stopped exactly at 5. ChaCha had withstood its attack. I felt an involuntary smile spread on my face. I looked down at my Gameboy and pressed the button that would finish this. Fire Blast, I commanded, and ChaCha obeyed. He shot a star of fire. I watched intently as Ghost's HP dropped to 0 and crashed. ChaCha had gained a total of, well, a lot of XP. It leveled up until it reached level 100. We had done it. We had beaten that thing, together. I really felt tears streaming down my eyes as I watched ChaCha. I was so glad to have my old friend back. We would be able to go on an adventure together again, face the Elite Four and Gary, and have things go back to normal. How they used to be. But then I heard it, or maybe it had been my imagination. ChaCha used to cry, and I could have sworn I heard, "See you later, Ashy boy." Before I had any chance to say anything, my Gameboy turned off by itself. And then, I opened up my eyes. I awoke to see my mom fixing things around my room, telling me that it was time to get ready for school. I turned my head to see my TV. Pokemon was on with Gary driving away on his red car, away from Oak's laboratory. I looked at the side of my bed to see my Gameboy laying there. I quickly reached for it and turned it on. My mom told me how I should be getting ready instead of playing, but I ignored her. Everything seemed fine. The intro played normally. But when I got to the start screen, my save game was gone. The only options I had were new game and options. Had it been real? Had my victory with ChaCha purged my game? Had he done it on purpose? A sad smile went through my face. A smile nevertheless. I knew what I had to do. I clicked on new game, skipped past all the intro, and chose Charmander. It could have been my hype to start things again, but I could have sworn Charmander's sprite looked slightly more happy than it normally did. Its eyes weren't glaring. They seemed more happy. Let's go, ChaCha. A new adventure awaits. And so, the adventures of Ashy Boy and ChaCha began anew. I closed my eyes. I had messed up again. I failed my friend. ChaCha, I whispered sadly. Ah!